Mislach Zevachim Daf Nun Dalar Amud Aleph. We're starting from Nun Gimel Amud Beis, from around 8 lines from the bottom. My time to Rebbe Lazar. So the Gemara wants to know what's the reason that this kedem, this corner of Zevachim did not have a yisoid. Amud Rebbe Lazar Lafish Lei Heis B'Chalkei Shel Teirav, because it wasn't the chelik of Binyamin. Binyamin was described as Binyamin Zev Yitra. Binyamin would tear down its prey, and it says Babayka, he would eat it. Babayka, he would tear down his prey. But a lot of Yichalak Shola in the evening, he would divide his spoils. So the way it's explained, it's going on the Karbanis. It corresponds to the Karbanis Atamid Babayka Ba'adev. So the corner of Mizrach Dreimis of the Mizbeach was not in his chelik. It was in the chelik of Yehuda. That's why there was no Yisod there. The Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yitzchak said, the square on the bottom of the Mizbeach, Eichel B'Chalkei Yehuda, took a part of Yehuda's chelik. Because if you look at the Mizbeach on Dreimis, when you come out of the Heichel, you saw the Madavis side of the Mizbeach. That had the Yisod because that part was on Binyamin's side. But if you go on the eastern side and you go from the Mizbeach, the square of the Mizbeach, towards the ramp, that's all Durham side. Right after the border of the Mizbeach, the end of the Mizbeach and Baita was Tzafim. So on Dreimis, Mizrachis, that part, an Amma of that part belonged to the Chelik of Yehuda, and therefore you could not have the Yisod on that side, because the Mizbeach was completely, and the Schus of the Mizbeach was completely on Binyamin's side. Amar Rabbi Levi Rabbi Chama, Amar Rabbi Chama Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Levi Rabbi Chama said the name of Rabbi Chama Rabbi Chanina, that is the bias of part of the Mizrach part, and it was in the part of the Mizrach part was in the Chelik of Yehuda. Retzua Haisa Yotze Mechalkei Shel Yehuda. There was a Retzua, a strip of an Amma that went into the area of the Mizbeach. It went into the Chelik of Binyamin, because we know that as Yisrael, as his Kohanim was Taka part of Yehuda's, and the Lishus Hagos was part of Yehuda's Chelik. But further, the Mizbeach and the whole Heichel, the Heichel, that was all in the Chelik of Binyamin. So he's saying on the Mizrach side of the Mizbeach, which borders Yehuda's Chelik, part of Yehuda's Chelik was on the Mizrach side of the Mizbeach. So that's which part? And Amma. That Amma that which the measurements of the Yisod was not there. They had to remove it. It shouldn't be on the Chelik of Yehuda. It says in the pasuk, it says that Binyamin, who was Ben Yaakov, who was the father of the Shevet, was in pain and agony every day, meaning that he was hoping that and it was seen with Ruach HaKodesh that La'asid, that Shevet Yehuda will have a Ritzua in his Chelek, and he was in agony about it. We should know that Binyamin was a tzaddik. He was one of the 4 tzaddikim that died without a chet, only because of the sin of the Nachash. It was Binyamin, you had Amram, David HaMelech, and Kilev, the son of David. Like it says in the Barach of Moshe to Shevet Binyamin, it says, Chayfef alav kol yaim, that he was in agony every day, for that he's a part of the Mizbeach will be in Yehuda's part. Lefikach, that Amma, Lefikach Zach ben Yamin Hatzadi v'Nasahush Pezichat, because he was in such agony that he was Zeicha, that Ben Yamin Hatzadi was Zeicha, that he should become the host for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning that the Kedashim, that the Shechina should rest in his Chelek, Shenam Bank Seifov Shachim, like it says, between his shoulders, that's where the Shechina rested. Others say that he wanted mainly that of course the Shechina, he didn't mind that Yehuda would have his Chelek, He wanted mainly that the Shekhinah should be in his chelik. Okay, Meisei, effectively, Yimar HaKasha. When he gave the Kenem Mizrach Dreibis of the Mizbeach, he said it wasn't the Yesod, they didn't have the base on the bottom of the Mizbeach, and that side of the Mizbeach. Basically, Oil Sa'if, Ketz of Hisa Naisa. The Oil Sa'if, how was the offering of the Oil Sa'if done? It says, oh, you might like, the Kohen would use his thumb with the nail and cut off with the right thumb as Reish Mimul Urpa. He would separate the head from the neck, cut the head towards the neck, and he would mamish separate the head from the body. That's only by the Eila Sa'if. But the Chat Sa'if, it says over there, Lo Yavdil. And he would squeeze out the blood on the walls of the Mizbeach. And so he says, like, Marta, and if you're going to say that the Kenan Tenis was Lo, you say, if you're going to say at that side there was no foundation, Zakasha, how could they do Malika? He's doing the Malika in the ear. I mean, it's in the ear, so the blood that will spray out of the neck, that when the Kohen is pressing it, so that blood is going to go to waste because it's falling mamish to the ground, and it's not falling on the mizbeach. This was the Tanai between Binyamin and Yehuda, that Avida the Binyamin, Karka the Yehuda, that the airspace belongs to Binyamin, and the Karka will belong to Yehuda. So what they did was that they built on the corner above the ground, on that corner, like a protrusion, like a base, but above the ground. It didn't touch the ground, so that is still in the Ava of Binyamin, and the blood would fall on that protrusion, which was as wide as the base. That's where it would fall on. In fact, you want to my lo yihava lo yisay. What does it mean that there wasn't a yisay? What's the pshat? Does it mean kipshutei that there was no yisay? Rabba ma the binyan. Rabba says kavanik pshutei that there was no yisay at all. Like yama bidamin. It means there was a yisay, but the kedusha on that side, it didn't have the hechsher of a yisay, and it wasn't kosher to place the dam on that side of the yisay. On that side. The foundation that was on that side. Rav, why he says that it means that there was no foundation on that side, because Bachsante Yizmei Madcha. It means that inheritance of the Mizbeach shall be built, which means that there was a Yisrael all over. Levi Matagim Bachsante Yizmei Magdasha. I'm sorry, built means that the entire Mizbeach was built in Binyamin's land, in Binyamin's part. So therefore, the part that was not on Binyamin's side was not built. It means that his Yerusha, the Magdasha means in the sacred, meaning that that's where it should be. In the holy part, that's where it should be built. Meaning, only the part that belongs to Binyamin will be Makom Kodesh L'Damim, will be a place that's holy for blood. But the place which the Yesod, which was not built in Binyamin, will now be kosher, or will not be Kodesh to receive the Demei HaKabanis. Tashma, come in here, I'll bring you a right from the Mishnah in Midays against Levi, because Levi says that the foundation was there. It's just the side that was on that side didn't have the Kedusha of receiving the blood. It says that the side foundation went Alpnei, Kol Atzaf and Alpnei Kol Amayr, throughout the whole length of the Tzafin, side of the Mizbeach and the Mayr of the Mizbeach. Oichel B'darim Amachaz. But the Blitz, how you say, Al Mizach was only one Amma on the Mizach, and meaning that by the Kenem Mizach Tzveinis there you had one Amma, and by the Dremis Ma'irav is there. You had also one amma, but it didn't go. It didn't go to extend. And according to Levi, it was all over. Says what does it mean? Oichel, it means also just bedamin, meaning that the hechsher of receiving the dam, the kedusha of receiving the dam, that's where only in those two sides it consumed or eats. So it means only bedam. It means the blood, but again to the blood that the kedusha of the blood was only on those two sides, but not that it wasn't fully built. Tashma, coming here, the Gemara is going to ask Rav now, who says that it wasn't built all over. It says it says the Mizbeach was 32 by 32. So how could it be 32 by 32? According to Rav, the Yesod was not most of the Dar Mizrach of the Mizbeach wasn't Yesod. Over here it's talking about Minat Sad. From this, if you're standing on the Tzafin or on the Ma'ariv, if you go to the corner between Ma'ariv Tzafin and you look at each side, you'll see that it's 32 amas. Of course, only there. But if you would stand in other places, it wouldn't be 32 amas. Okay? Because standing on the Tzafin on the corner, so the Tzafin towards the Darim on Ma'ariv side was the full Tzafin till Darim of the Mizbeach on the Tzafin side was a full Yisad, and in that corner, if you look, you're looking at the Tzafin, going from Ma'ariv to Mizrach was also, so you had full 32. So that corner you had full 32, but if you stood on any corner, other corner, it wouldn't be that way. Now, an additional kasha the Gemara is asking from Masechta Midas Tashma. We're going to ask a kasha Rav. It says Nimtza Pereach Amal Yisod Amal Asevev. We find that the kevesh, the ramp, was one amma. Had one amma protruding. It says that the Mizbeach, when attached itself to the Mizbeach, the ramp attached itself to the Mizbeach over the Amma of the Yisai, that's over the foundation, which is one Amma, and also attached the Baita even to the Mizbeach, which was the Amma of the ledge. Those were two Ammas. So, and you said, so if it was two Ammas, it should have been 60. And the ramp also was 32, and the Mizbeach was 32. It should have been 64. What does that mean? It says, you want to aim learn what's the pshat that first of all, the ramp went over. How do we get to 62? We answered before. I mean, the reason why it was 62, because it swallowed in, the ramp had indentations over the Amma of the Yisod and over the Amma of the ledge, over the Soivev. So therefore, it was only 62 because it swallowed it inside the ramp. But the question is, so you see that there was, on that side, a Yisod. So if you want to know, say that the Amma corresponding to the basin, the Amma corresponding to the ledge, but it doesn't actually mean that it was a ledge. It means as if it were to be a ledge, it would be considered swallowing that Amma, the Amma of the foundation, and the Amma of the Segav. So Gemara Toshma, coming here, I'll ask you another question on the Tana Levi learned in the Braisa, Ketzes by Noas Mizbeach. How do we build the Mizbeach? Melviim Malbin, they bring a form made, let's say made out of wood, which was 32 amas on 32 amas, that form, and they placed it on the ground. And they would bring dafke smooth stones and damp stones. Whether it's big or small, or maybe seed, and they brought lime, the kunyam, and lead, which was his glaze with zephyrs and tar, and they will mix them together, and then they would pour this mixture over the stone. That was the place where the foundation of the Mizbeach was. And then they would bring another form, which was 30 amas and 30 amas, and that was 5 amas going up to the Seivev. And then he would bring again smooth damp stones, and he do the whole process again. And he would pour the whole mixture of before. Then he would bring another form over the 5 amma height form. He would bring another form which was only the depth of the height of Gimel Amas. Again, he brought these smooth damp stones, and he do the whole process over again. And the top, and that was the top third, which was placed, which was the top of the Mizbeach. Then he would bring again a form which was Alama for the kronis, all the 4 kronis of the Mizbeach. Big, whether it's big or small. Maybe it's big kunyum mamchel shefech. And he would bring again the lime, the tar, and the lead glaze, and mix it together and pour it in. That was a corner. So it was on each corner. And if you're going to say the Goy's lay that is talking about, that what did he do? That after the base was poured, he cuts it down, meaning he cuts down the base where it didn't belong. Because here we have a kasha. If he made a full form, he had a full base on all 4 sides. According to Rav, it wasn't on the side where you would have had Andremis Misachis. So he says you can't say that they cut it out because Avanim Shleis, where it's written that the Mizbeach consisted of whole stones, meaning the surface of the Mizbeach stones had to be smooth, and it is impossible to cut through the cement with the rocks on the base and leave a very rough surface over there. One of the machis midei to say it's talking about they put smooth, solid beams and v'shakalei, and they will remove it because you were able to remove it since it was very smooth. So this mixture didn't stick to it, so you were able to remove it. Because if you're not going to say so, this that Rav Kana said, it says that the corners on top of the Mizbeach were hollow. The Siv, like it says in the Pasik, that the Navi Zcharia was Manaba on the Yidden Lasid Lavi Malu Bamizak. It says that they will it'll be filled like a bowl. These corners will, meaning that it was hollow, it'll fill like a bowl, will be filled like a bowl. Like, meaning, like the corners of the Mizbeach. And here too the Torah says that the Mizbeach has to be formed with whole stones. Rather, what's it talking about? That when pouring in the cement into the horns, he put solid sticks whole into that empty space, and it was very smooth, and he filled it up with cement, and later on he was able to pull out with those smooth sticks because the cement didn't stick to it. So too, when it came to the Yisai, the same thing happened, that he put smooth beams, and on that side, on the he was able to remove the beam. What is this that it says that it says that David and Shmuel went and lived in Noyes Rama. What does the city or the town of Noyes have to do with Rama? The mamish 2 different places. Rama says only David and Shmuel were living in Rama in Shmuel's city. And they were working on finding the exact place where the Beis Hamikdash was, the beauty of the world, which is the Beis Hamikdash. No, the Beis Habchira we call it the most chosen place. So it's written, you shall rise up and go up to the place of Hashem where Hashem will choose. So from this passage you see, it says that it's higher than the Beis Hamikdash was higher than Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael, that's here. He doesn't bring the pasuk. It's not Negeya, and Eretz Yisrael is higher than all other lands. However, they didn't know. But they didn't know exactly where the place of the Beis Hamikdash was. Isis of Yeshua. So they brought the Sefer in Yeshua and they learned it, and they figured out that by all of them, it's written. It says that the border went down and then it went up and the border turned. But B'Shiv ben Yamin it says V'alaksiv. It says only that the border went up. And V'hayara Lake Siv, it doesn't say anything about going down. Amni, David said, and David and Shmuel said, Shmami, so we can learn from this, from the place of where the Beis Hamikdash. Here's the place of the Beis Hamikdash. Shabbal Amivnei Be'ein Itam the Midli. Because it only says by Shev ben Yamin up, and up is the highest place. So it has to be where Shev ben Yamin was. That was the highest place. That's why they built the Beis Hamikdash that place. It doesn't say anything about Yerida. And it follows the pasuk of Kamta. Shmami no, you have Hachel Mekem. Okay. So it's going to Shabbal Amivnei Be'ein Itam the Midli. They thought of building it on the place called Ein Eitam. It's the highest point overlooking Yerushalayim, which is the highest point in the area, even higher than where the Beis Hamikdash was. Amni, so they then we considered and said, Nisani Beis Kalil Kidachsiv. Okay, so they said, let us lower it somewhat, like it says in the pasuk, "Vein safe of shachim," and between the shoulders he rests. So he says, let's not go to the top mountain, which would be Ein Eitam, but between its shoulders, meaning along the shoulders of the mountains that lead up to the peak. And that's where we should locate it, because it says Allah make safe. If you want, I can tell you another answer. Community, the Sanhedrin Chok the Yehuda. We learned that the Sanhedrin was in Yehuda's Chelik. The Shechina wasn't the part in the Chelik that belonged to Binyamin. Now, if we would bring the Beis Hamikdash to the place called Ein Eitam, Mispalik Tuba, the two will be so far apart because the Sanhedrin would be far from where the Beis Hamikdash was. It's better for me that I should lower a little bit and a bit and place it in Yerushalayim so that it will be close to the Sanhedrin, like it says, a bank safe of Shochin, and between the shoulders he rests. Where you see that you could even bring it down lower, which would be and will help that the Beis Hamikdash will be. I'm saying the Sanhedrin will be in its right place. It says because of this, he was jealous of David. Remember the story with Achimelech, when they came to Neiv, Achimelech thought that David is coming in the shlichus of the king of Shaul, and he helped out David HaMelech, but he told Shaul that Achimelech helped out, and he made it sound like that they were committing treason. And he caused that everybody should get killed, even the people, the soldiers didn't want to kill him. So Shaul said that he himself, David, should deal with killing the people of that city. But what do we see? And so David was jealous of David because he wanted to find a place where the Beis Hamikdash was, and instead David HaMelech found it. So because of that kina, he went all out. When he says because of that sin, he wasn't zeicha to. He was one of the people that were not zeicha to go he wasn't forgiven, meaning Hagam no Hadegna was a goinader. He knew he was able to answer many questions. I think in the Gemara Sanhedrin there it says that there were 300 halachas concerning a tower that floats through the air, and he brought 400 unsolved answers concerning such a tower. This was Vinagaya to Doyeg. Okay, anyway, Bekitza, he was going on there. So it says Niskana, that he was Niskana. Why was he Niskana? Although it was a Niskana Doyeg Hadaimi, that he was jealous of David, like it says in the Pasuk, Kikinas Beis Chachalasnei, for the jealousy of finding the place where the Beis Hamikdash was, that David HaMelech found it. It says, Achalasnei, he devoured me. Okay, Zoking Baruch Siv, and it's also written, remember Hashem, David had sich Metzai given, and he swore to himself, im etten Schnoss, lein alaf apoit numad emza, im oivel beil beisi, im etten Schnoss, lein alaf apoit numad emza, makna Hashem. He says, if I won't go under a roof of my house, meaning I will not allow myself to sleep until I find a place of Hashem. We know if somebody makes a neder that he's not going to sleep for 3 days, he's chayiv for breaking the neder because it's not shayach. Here it doesn't mean that. Here it means that he's not going to sleep on a bed till he will find the place and build the makim, makim for the Shechina of Hashem. Makim Hashem. So we heard of it in Ephrasa, and we found it where? In Zdeyar, in the forest fields. Be'Ephrasa is Yeshua the God of Ephraim. In Ephrasa, it refers to Yeshua, who came from Shevet Ephraim. Mitzanov Zdeyar, Zebin Yom Nechsiv, and we found where the Beis Hamikdash has to be built. It was in the forests of the forest fields, or Bizdayah, fields, forest, which refers to Benyamin's Chelek, like it says, Benyamin's Evgitay, that Benyamin is a wolf that will tear. Just like a wolf usually hunts in the forest, and sometimes will come out to the fields to kill the livestock. So that's what he's referring to, this Zdei yard where the Beis Hamikdash was built in Binyamin's Chelek.